What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bobby's Big Board. Everyone knows about the big name rookies this year, but the real edge in Dynasty comes from spotting the under the radar guys before your league mates do. Today we're diving into my top 5 sleeper rookie wide receivers, players who are not getting the hype that they deserve, but could absolutely pay off big in Dynasty. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Hey.
First guy that we're talking about here is Chisum III for the New England Patriots, the undrafted free agent out of Eastern Washington. And there's a reason he went undrafted. You look at the athletic metrics, he didn't go to a big school, doesn't have good athletic metrics at all outside of an agility score, which does come up in his route running a good bit. I'll get to that in a second. And he's not the biggest guy either, 5'11", 200 pounds, which is decent. But, you know, you want a guy to be a little bit bigger to play on the outside. I think he's primarily a slot guy for the Patriots, which is weird because where does he fit into this lineup? Pop Douglas is probably going to be their primary slot guy right now. Patriots fans love him. They love what he brings to the table as like this gadget type of player. Then you have Jalen Polk, who was a second-round pick last year. He was horrible, but they're still invested into him, at least for now. Kyle Williams was a third-round pick. He's been looking really good in the preseason and in training camp. They're invested into him as an outside receiver. Stephon Diggs probably also plays the outside. Kayshon Boutte is another guy that was looking really good last season with Drake May. So he's got a lot of people that are presumably ahead of him, but I cannot deny his skill set. He reminds me a lot of Adam Thielen in some ways. Hunter Renfrow comes to mind as well. I know two wide receivers, ironically, but he has great route running, very twitchy route runner, great hands, and he's just a dog. He wants to win. If you saw the touchdown he scored, you guys should check that clip out where he scored. He broke through multiple tackles and just was not going to be denied a touchdown. And I think that type of mindset and that mentality is what Vrabel wants. That's the exact type of coach that he is, and I think Chisum's going to get a decent amount of playing time this year. Maybe he doesn't get 1,000 yards this year, obviously, but I think he's a guy that's worth a long-term stash. Yes, he's probably rostered in a lot of your leagues if your league is paying attention, but if they aren't, he's probably available. And if you can get the owner of Chisum to, you know, deal him for a late third-round pick or something like that, basically a throwaway pick, I think that's very much worth it for a guy with his skill set. We look at keep trade cut. He's the wide receiver 135, so very much low key in terms of where his value is on keep trade cut. I think you can throw a fourth maybe at the Chisum owner, and he might just, you know, think, oh, that's a free 4th-round pick. He picked him up off of waivers. So definitely throw a couple of feelers out there for the Chisum owner if you can. And if he's on waivers, make a decent bid for him and get him on your rosters. I think this kid is going to shine in the next couple of years. Let's talk Torrey Horton, guys, the 5th-round pick for the Seattle Seahawks. And I think this is a great landing spot for Torrey Horton because obviously Cooper Kupp is older, very much has durability concerns. I don't even know if he stays with the team past this season. Then you have JSN, who's going to be their primary slot/Z option. And then that leaves Torrey Horton here, who I think is the 3rd best wide receiver on this team as a rookie. I know that sounds a little crazy, but at 6'3", 200 pounds, coming off a torn ACL, he ran a 4.41 at the combine, which leads me to believe he's probably a mid 4.3 runner, in my opinion, at 6'3", 200 pounds. So that he can play the Z, he can play the slot even at times. I think they'll line him up at the X position, but I liked his route running. I loved his yak ability, and he's fairly consistent at the catch point in these contested catch situations. He uses that frame to his advantage. Yes, he goes to Colorado State. He wasn't a highly touted recruit or anything like that, but he's got a 1,000-yard season in college under his belt. He was easily the best player at Colorado State last year. I think Torrey Horton is primed to be a starting wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks this season, and who knows how good this offense is going to be with Sam Darnold, but regardless, this is going to be a receiver that probably starts, and there's not a lot of these receivers in this class that can say that. You look at Torrey Horton, he's the wide receiver 72 on Keep Trade Cut. I think he's absolutely worth the 3rd round pick in 2026 if you can, ship that, or, try to get him in is like an add-in in a trade. That's something that I recommend to a lot of people is, there's certain guys that I think are sleepers. Try to get a trade going with somebody and then have them add in Torrey Horton as like a little quick add-in, but in reality Torrey Horton might be a lot bigger than just an add-in in trades. So Torrey Horton's definitely a guy that I'm going to be targeting. Yes, he's more than likely going to be rostered in your leagues, but he's definitely a guy that I would be looking to trade for. Isaac Tislaw is a guy that I know is getting a decent amount of hype just because of how he's doing in the preseason, but I think all of that hype is warranted. He has looked phenomenal in preseason, guys, and I think if people are sleeping at the wheel on him and you're able to get him in a trade, maybe throw a 3rd round pick at him or something, maybe throw in a basically a 0 player and a 3rd round pick for Tislaw, I think he's a guy that you should absolutely target, and if you have him on your roster, you should be feeling great. I wasn't the biggest Tislaw guy with the landing spot just because they have Amon-Ra St. Brown there long term. They have Jameson Williams there as well. And I don't really know where Tislaw fits here. Obviously, I think he's going to be their 3rd receiver based on how he's been playing. And if you look at his workout metrics, I mean, the kid's 6'4", almost 220, and all of his metrics are 87th percentile or higher, which is absolutely stunning stuff. Not a highly touted recruit by any means. He goes to Arkansas. He's basically a big play merchant. You just throw him the ball as the X receiver. I do know, J-Mo isn't really a true X receiver. I think they drafted Tislaw to be that vertical X receiver, which leads me to believe I think you'll have a bunch of big boom or bust games. But regardless, I think his skill set's absolutely there. I think he's a little bit raw as a route runner right now, but if they can develop him, and the Lions have proven that they can develop talent, I mean, they did it with Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've been doing it with their receivers. I think Tislaw, you look at him on Keep Trade Cut, the wide receiver 75. Despite him being a 3rd round pick, I think that's just a little bit too low for him. And I think if you guys can pick him up, there's a lot of Keep Trade Cut merchants in your Dynasty leagues that are just going to be looking at his face value on Keep Trade Cut in trades. I think Isaac Tislaw is worth much more than what he is on Keep Trade Cut right now. And I think if you can pick him up for a 3rd round pick, maybe you have to throw somebody else, I don't know, just another 0 player and a 3rd round pick to get Tislaw. I think that's a great deal for you. All right, Isaiah Bond's up next, and if you know anything about Isaiah Bond, he was a highly touted recruit. He played at Alabama and Texas as a starter. You're not doing that unless you're a very good football player. And he was a highly touted draft recruit as well. People were thinking he might go 1st, 2nd round. I personally think he would have went late 2nd round, but unfortunately he ran into some legal troubles throughout the offseason, and it was not a good look for him whatsoever. And people were basically like, this dude is not innocent whatsoever. And recently he gets all the charges dropped. He's cleared of all wrongdoings, and the Cleveland Browns scoop him up immediately. I want to say that was earlier in the week, the 14th of August, somewhere in there. And there's something that's different about Isaiah Bond. And if you look at his workout metrics, nothing super special here. But if you see him on the football field, he is just a different type of player when it comes to speed. He will burn everybody on the football field. He showed that time and time again. You could throw the ball to him on screens. He would just burn everybody. His speed is ridiculous. Kind of reminds me of Jalen Waddle. Waddle didn't run the best 40 time either, but you can tell when he gets on the field and starts running, if he can stay healthy, of course, he is very fast. Isaiah Bond is similar in that regard. I think he's best as a slot wide receiver. I know Deontay Johnson is the guy right now for them in the slot, I think. But Bond is a very good player. The Browns got a steal by basically picking him up as a UDFA. He's pretty much guaranteed to make the team, in my opinion, just because of his skill set. I think he can line up at the Z, the X, and the slot if he needs to. He's a very versatile player. His speed out is basically unguardable in my opinion. Isaiah Bond is a great player, and if you look at his rank on Keep Trade Cut, even after he signed with the Browns, obviously he hasn't gotten any action just yet, but he's the wide receiver 130. You can basically get him for free if people are trying to use these trade calculators, which a lot of people are, and he might be available in a lot of your leagues. I know a lot of people don't really know who Isaiah Bond is if they're just looking at NFL draft prospects that got drafted. Isaiah Bond is definitely a guy that you need to have on your radar because he is a killer talent and he will be burning people on the football field if he gets the opportunity. All right, guys, the last guy that I want to talk about, and he's one of my favorite wide receivers in this entire draft class. It's Pat Bryant for the Denver Broncos. He's a third-round pick, and yes, he's probably rostered in all of your leagues if your leagues have any idea what they're doing. But this is a guy that I think is going to massively outplay his current value right now, and I think he's a great trade target if you can get him right now. And for Pat Bryant, there's a ton of NFL caliber tools. I think his yak ability is great. I think his jump ball ability is great. The only knock on him is he's not the quickest accelerator off the line. He's not. His route running's great, but if you're trying to make him run just a straight 9 route, he's not going to get separation right off the rip. But that 4.6 140 is very deceiving because once he gets going, he's burning everybody. It takes him, 5-6 strides to get going, but once he gets going, his deep speed is absolutely real. I watched a ton of Illinois film on him, and I loved what I saw. He can come up with all of the big crazy catches that you need him to. He's a route technician when he needs to be. He's got a ton of NFL level skill sets. I know the famous quote this offseason by Sean Payton was, he reminds me a lot of Michael Thomas, is what Sean Payton said. That's a high praise for a guy that was drafted in the 3rd round. And if you look at his Keep Trade Cut ranking, wide receiver 70, I think he could absolutely be a top 30 wide receiver in his rookie season. That's how good I think Pat Bryant is. And I think this Denver Broncos offense has a lot to offer to these wide receivers. I know Troy Franklin's been getting some buzz, right? Obviously, Horton Sutton's going to be their X. I think Pat Bryant was drafted to be the long-term replacement for Cortland Sutton, and I think they play Pat Bryant over Devon Vele in the slot position. I think he's going to be a big slot for them, and Sean Payton loves his big slots. So I think Pat Bryant is absolutely a guy that's worth hunting for. Get him as an add-in in a trade. Whatever you need to do, get Pat Bryant, because even the people that are owning him right now are sleeping on him, and I think he will massively outplay his value. So those are my sleeper rookie wide receivers that I think you need to keep your eye on in Dynasty. Which of these guys are you stashing, and did I miss anyone that you're high on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you've enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming rookie and Dynasty content all season long. And don't forget to join the Bobby's Big Board Discord with the link in the description to talk Dynasty football all year long. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.